Hey family, welcome back to the channel. Today's message is going to be a real one, because I know many of you are in a season where you feel like everything God promised you is either delayed, denied, or maybe it was never really promised at all. Maybe you've been holding on to a word that God gave you about a relationship, a career, a healing, your calling, and it feels like nothing is happening. And if you're honest, maybe you're starting to wonder if you even heard him correctly in the first place. And in the middle of all that waiting, here comes the enemy, whispering lies, whispering that God forgot about you, whispering that you're not good enough, whispering that you missed your chance. But here's the truth. Satan is a liar. In fact, Jesus calls him the father of lies. John 8:44. His entire strategy is to distort what God said, make you doubt what God promised, and wear you down until you let go of what God told you to hold on to. Today, we're going to expose those lies, learn how to fight back with truth, and get our faith re-anchored in what God really said. Part 1. Recognizing the enemy's tactics. Let's start by being aware of how the enemy works. Because if you don't know how he attacks, you won't know how to defend yourself. 1. The enemy twists God's words. We see this as early as Genesis 3. Satan comes to Eve and says, "Did God really say?" Notice he didn't come at her with a sword. He didn't try to physically harm her. He just planted a seed of doubt about what God said. That's the same thing he does with you. If God promised you that he would provide, the enemy will whisper, "But look at your bank account. Look how long you've been unemployed." If God really cared, why would you be struggling right now? If God promised you healing, he'll whisper, "But look at your symptoms. You're getting worse, not better." Other people got healed, but not you. Maybe God doesn't want you healed. The enemy takes a piece of truth, wraps it in a lie, and tries to feed it to you until you start to believe it. 2. The enemy uses timing against you. One of Satan's favorite lies is, if it hasn't happened by now, it's never going to happen. He knows that waiting wears people down. Proverbs 13:12 says, "Hope deferred makes the heart sick." The enemy wants to make you so heartsick that you stop hoping, stop believing, stop praying. But God's timing is not your timing. His promises don't expire just because the clock ran out on your deadline. 3. The enemy attacks your identity. If Satan can get you to question who you are, he can get you to give up what belongs to you. Look at Jesus in the wilderness in Matthew 4. The very first thing Satan said was, "If you are the Son of God." He attacked Jesus' identity before attacking anything else. Why? Because if you don't believe you're who God says you are, you won't believe you deserve what God said you could have. Part 2. Holding on to what God promised. So how do you fight back? You hold on to God's word, like your life depends on it. Because spiritually, it does. 1. Go back to what God said. Write it down. Pray it back to him, speak it over yourself. Habakkuk 2:2 says, "Write the vision and make it plain." When the enemy lies, you can go back to what's written and say, "Nope, God told me this. God promised me this." 2. Use the word as your weapon. When Jesus was tempted, he didn't debate with Satan. He didn't explain himself. He just said, "It is written." That's your strategy too. If the enemy says, "God forgot about you," you respond with Isaiah 49:16. "I have engraved you on the palms of my hands." If the enemy says, "You're too weak to make it," you respond with 2 Corinthians 12:9. "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Don't just think the word, speak it out loud. The enemy can't read your thoughts, but he can hear your declarations. 3. Guard your mind. Philippians 4:8 gives you a filter for your thoughts. Whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable. Think about such things. If a thought doesn't match that list, reject it. Don't meditate on it. Don't replay it. 4. Stay in community. The enemy loves to isolate you, so you're easier to deceive. Surround yourself with believers who will remind you of God's promises when you forget. Hebrews 10:25 says, "Do not give up meeting together, but encourage one another." Sometimes you need someone else to hold up your arms when you're too tired to keep fighting. Part 3. Trusting God's character. This is so important. Don't just trust the promise, trust the one who made the promise. Numbers 23:19 says, "God is not a man that he should lie. Does he speak and then not act? Does he promise and not fulfill?" Even when it looks impossible, even when it looks dead, God is faithful. Abraham had to wait 25 years for Isaac. Joseph had to wait 13 years before the dream God gave him came to pass. David was anointed king and then spent years running for his life before sitting on the throne. If God did it for them, he can do it for you. Part 4. Practical steps to stand strong. Here are some practical steps you can start today. Write down every promise God has given you. Keep it where you can see it daily. Create a truth list. Find Bible verses that speak directly to your situation and declare them daily. Fast and pray. Fasting clears your mind and helps you hear God's voice clearly. Worship through the waiting. Worship reminds you of God's power and presence, even when you don't see breakthrough yet. Take the next right step. Even if the big promise hasn't come to pass, be faithful with what's in front of you. Family, I know waiting is hard. I know hearing the enemy's lies can wear you down, but God's promises are still true. When Satan tells you it's over, remind him that God is the Alpha and the Omega. When Satan tells you you're too late, remind him that God is outside of time. When Satan tells you God has abandoned you, remind him of Deuteronomy 31:6. "I will never leave you nor forsake you." Don't let go of what God told you, just because it hasn't happened yet. The enemy can lie all he wants, but God's word will never return void.